Just want to let you lot know that if you're watching this clip on the Fozcast YouTube channel, the full episode is now available to watch exclusively on Spotify, and it's free. Come on.
Can we just bring this back up again quickly? I've got a few more things I need to ask you, but honestly, like, you played away for Cheltenham against Plymouth Argyle, and then within the space of 3 months, you played the full Olympics for GB, and then made your England debut. It's bonkers, mate.
No. Yeah, it's brilliant. I need to remind myself of it more often, actually, because it was a really, really special time. It was incredible for me, family. It was brilliant, and it was an incredible start. Best start you could possibly ask for to a career. No doubt about it. I remember the first England squad I actually got into was at the end of that summer. So I'd done the Under-20 World Cup was 2010. And the first time I got called into that group was, I was on holiday. It was for the Poland and for the Euros in Poland and Ukraine.
Yeah.
So what are we going back to now?
2012.
2012. So it was 2012. So I just come back from the Under-20 World Cup, and there was an opportunity to. John Ruddy broke his finger going into that camp.
Yeah.
So it was Joe Hart, Robert Green, Ruddy got injured, and I'd done the 21 setup. So they'd sort of put me forward as being, and I remember going to that tournament, meeting up again at the Grove. I got there, I was on holiday, I was in Mexico at the time, land, get the call, right, you're now going with the senior side.
The big boys.
The big boys.
Sorry, Lil.
And it was, because I was such a kid, but it was, and then I called back, I go straight to the Grove, land from the airport, turn it around, get myself back. And my first sort of experience was walking into that meal room at the Grove, and the only space free was between Frank Lampard and John Terry, and I sat down in the middle, and honestly I felt so small. I was like, where on earth am I? This is bonkers. And to be fair, those two were absolutely brilliant with me. And because you could feel like, who's this kid?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was cannon fodder for the whole summer. I was just getting pelters from everywhere in the shooting drills, whatever, but loving it. And just deep end. It was just felt like the first.
Can you remember what the level was like
in the deep end?
You know, when you join in that first, not necessarily a shooting session, might be crossing and finishing. It could be small-sided game. Yeah. Can you just remember the step up and thinking, oh wow?
The first one was a finishing practice. We'd actually got out there, and sunny day like this, luscious pitch, whatever, and the finishing drill at the end. Rooney, Gerrard, Lampard, all the rest of it. And I was like at a shooting range. The ball was pinging off that post around my head everywhere at such a speed that I was like, it was such a massive step up from what I was used to. The boys, like, it was going in at such speed.
Was there anyone in particular that you looked at and thought, wow, they're different gravy completely?
I mean, those guys I just mentioned, I mean, they would, if there was a rebound, they were trying to kill you. Honestly, they were trying to kick it through you if they could. Rooney, like, just lashing it from all places. They hate goalies, They hate keepers.
They do,
But for me, that was like, it was probably a bit of a baptism of fire. It was like, who's this kid? Let's see what he's about, and we're going to put him through it. And in fairness, they did. But what do you do? Do you melt in that situation and just fold, or do you stand up to it and just try what you can do? And obviously, Watto, goalie coach, and Genev hates keepers, and the sessions weren't designed for us. It was designed for us to get ruined. But they're just some of the best moments you could possibly.
Do you remember coming back after England camps and you're joining with, and again, no disrespect to whatever club team you were at, but when you get back to the club team, you join in with training, you're just thinking, this is an absolute doddle. This is a doddle in comparison.
Yeah, but then there's that spectrum. But you're walking around knowing and waiting for someone to say something. You've just come back from an England camp. You've played. Here he is. You're dealing with all that, and all of a sudden you've got another a level to reach. Now you've got a standard that you've got to maintain. Now you've come back from there, and everyone's thinking, all right, let's see what you're about. Let's see what your character's saying. Let's see how you're going to deal with this. Are you going to be, if you let it get to your head? Are you coming back with a bit of a chip on your shoulder? What's you thinking about all those things?
So you'd have been with Watto, England and Birmingham.
Yeah.
So we'd have seen both in both camps.
Yeah. So which helped because, like I said, he sets those standards and he sort of grounds you. But then you've got to deal with the lads again that are, they don't really care what you've been up to in the summer and how nice your summer was travelling around with England. They're expecting you now to be as good as you can.
Back to your club.
Back to your club, back to work.
When we're talking about levels and training, I know, Fozzie, you wanted to go into goalkeeper geekery. What was it like training with David De Gea? Because, like, the fact that he left, was it at the end of that season?
First, before we say what it was like training with David De Gea, how bonkers is it that he was allowed to leave?
Nuts. Look, I know the wage situation was, I think everyone put that as a reason, but you've then got to go and buy another goalkeeper, and you've got one right there. I've not trained with Andre or anything like that, but you got one right in front of you, and unless he physically cannot do what you're asking in a style of play or whatever, but can he keep the ball out of the net? Oh my God.
You've got a 7 or an 8 out of 10 every week, good to go.
Sometimes a 9 or a 10.
It's guaranteed.
And then sometimes a save that no one else will make.
Yeah.
And you can't put a price on that. And he is the most laid back sort of character you'll ever see. Like, there's times where he won't mind me saying it because he knows himself, but like, we would train and he wouldn't really look too fussed, and he'd come on out and it'd be a routine dip and volley around his feet or something like that. And he'd had a knock from a training session and he just got out of the way of it. And in my head, I'm going, if I ever did that, I'm immediately flashbacks Watto. If I had ever done that when I was at any point in my career, I'm getting sent in, right? But it's David De Gea, and it's fine. I'm going bonkers. But then he would go and do something that you just go, yeah, I mean, you can do what you want because of the save he'd then pull off and what he would do, and it'd come to a match day and he'd win you the game on his own. But some of it was that you'd refuse to dive at times. Do you know what I mean? And one of those, again, I can't get my head in that mindset where that I had an injury early on in the year, and I was coming back from it, and it was like, we're just going to get out and we're going to get feet and hands going, and don't dive. We don't need to do that today. We'll get to that. But then one goes wide of you and you dive because it's just your instinct to do it. But David, I couldn't get my head around that someone could just leave it or get out of the way of it. But that was him just going, don't need that today. Or I don't need to do this. I don't need to make this any worse. He knew what he was doing. He stuck in he had his mind on what he was going to do. And it was just about a game day for him. And he'd turn up on a game day and just be a monster.
That was one of those circumstances with David De Gea leaving United and the changes at the club at the time. And I think retrospectively, you look back and go, somebody at that football club needed to just step in when it looked like it was going to happen and go, what the fuck are we doing now?
Are we really doing
this? Are we really going to do this?
Yeah, I think the whole thing, the whole way they dealt with it from top to bottom was awful, promising him a contract, and like you say, having to not only get rid of him but then go and spend an awful lot of money on another goalkeeper, and you're letting a world-class one go out the door with his personality, great around the place, everybody looks up to him, learns from him. Football, eh?
Yeah.
But that comes back environment. When you talk about environment, when the environment's right, you don't need to change a great deal. But United are sort of battling that right now, trying to get, whether it's the environment, manager changes, ownership changes. When all of that's going on, it's a very difficult thing to make sure that the pitch is actually, because it all works. It all works
leaks
together
into
now.
everything, doesn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this clip of the Fozcast. If you would like to watch the full episode, it is now available exclusively on Spotify for free.